I believe our bodies have this natural ability to heal. We're trying to, what they call, remove the obstacle to cure. The next question is, what does this body need to even activate that healing response more?
Hey, welcome back to the I Am Pain-Free podcast. I'm your host, Rob Rene, and today we'll have a very interesting and inspiring episode lined up for you. We're diving deep into the story of Dr. Jenny Tufekcian, a naturopathic physician who has turned her darkest moments into a beacon of hope and healing for others. In this episode titled Overcoming the Dark Night of the Soul, ooh, Dr. Jenny Tufekcian's journey to healing. I think you really like it. You're about to hear some of the pivotal moments that reshaped her life, from battling chronic fatigue and severe pain to experience a profound personal loss. Dr. Jenny has faced it all, but it's not just her struggles that make her story compelling. It's her incredible resilience and dedication to helping others that truly stands out. Join us as Dr. Jenny shares her journey, the lessons she's learned, and powerful techniques she uses to help people overcome chronic illness. You're really going to listen to this. Whether you're dealing with chronic fatigue, pain, or simply just looking for inspiration to help others, and if you face other challenges, this is going to be a great episode for you because it's packed with great insights and encouragement. So get comfortable, grab a cup of coffee or tea, and let's dive into this amazing conversation with Dr. Jenny. Here we go. Hey, everyone, it's Rob Rene, and welcome to the I Am Pain-Free podcast. We're excited to have Dr. Jenny Tufekcian here with us today, and it's going to be an exciting conversation. So you're going to really like to understand who she is and what she's doing to help the world today. So, Dr. Jenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here, Rob. I'm so excited to be here with you and all of your listeners.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And as we've talked about, the way I love to just start this out is just to learn more about you. What makes Dr. Jenny, and how did you get to where you are?
Yeah, this story can be long or short, and I'll just share the pieces that I
make
feel
it however
like
you want to make it
resonate with you. First of all, I am a naturopathic physician, and that came out of when I put all the pieces together, when I found myself 6 months pregnant and trying to figure out really what I always wanted to do in my life. I always wanted to be a physician, but I didn't think I was smart enough because I got a C in high school biology. That's what I didn't even study for.
So you did great, right? If you didn't study for
in hindsight, I'm like, that's pretty good. But yes, I love being able to empower people to be able to find how it is that they can help heal their own bodies. And being a naturopathic physician really allows me to support people on all different levels of their being, their physical, their mental, emotional, and their energetic being, because we really are all three of those levels. Why I do what I do now, I work with people who are really sick with chronic fatigue, long COVID, who have complex illnesses that don't fit into the neat, tiny boxes, diagnostic boxes of the conventional medical system. I work with people who are really ready to do the work to come to their next best level of healing. And I got here from my own personal journey. I crashed really hard in second year of medical school. I was attempting to have a second child. My first child was 5 by that time, and I thought it was time to be another mom, have another kid, and had a pregnancy, miscarried, had a second pregnancy, and had a second miscarriage at 17 weeks. I'd also lost 5 other people near and dear to me that year. And I was in medical school with a small child. So my stress levels were like up here.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. And so that second miscarriage, I hemorrhaged, and I would have been another statistic of somebody who died in childbirth if I hadn't been rushed to the hospital.
Wow.
It made me very grateful for the conventional medical system in that moment. I think it has its place in terms of acute care in emergency situations. And I was so grateful for the bright lights,
yes.
and the anesthesiologist and all that. And they literally saved my life. And
amen.
But that event threw my body into a very deep place that I call the dark night of the soul. And because I lost so much blood.
The dark night of the soul? Is that what you said?
Dark night of the soul, totally. You talk about your second truck hitting you, like I got hit hard.
Yeah.
The dark night of the soul, I think, really comes when all three of those bodies, that physical, the mental, emotional, and energetic, are all down. Usually when we are sick or we're going through a crisis, we're going through a divorce that's really hard, or there's something that's happening in our physical body, we're dealing with pain.
Right.
It's often just one or two of those three bodies are down, and you can pull on the other one. Like you can pull on your energetic body or your spirituality to bring you up. If it's just you're having a spiritual crisis, you can pull on your physical strength. There's all, how it is. We go through life in different seasons.
Yes.
I feel like when you're in that really dark, hard place, it's all three systems down. And it was terrifying, honestly, because I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I didn't have energy to even having my head on the pillow was high energy for me.
Wow.
I had to be walked to the bathroom. I had IVs in my arm for nutrition. I was out and I couldn't handle the energy of anyone else in the room with me, including my 5-year-old child. I love being a mom and I couldn't parent at all. This was for me terrifying because I really lost so much identity of who I was at that time.
Yeah.
And it became a massive opportunity for me to grow in a way that I never would have if I hadn't been slammed to the earth that way.
Wow.
And it really opened me up. I had a huge spiritual opening at that time that was beautiful. And I had amazing healers coming to my bedside because I was in medical school and people would come and work with me. And had a healer that came and worked with me and helped me with my subconscious mind. And this is the first time I felt like somebody was scratching me where I needed to itch. We were actually getting to what was driving me in that deep way. And it allowed me to actually move from this deep, severe depression where I had suicidal ideation, severe anxiety. I was able to move from that, out of that. And I moved from the bed to the couch. And then when I was on the couch, my mood was better, but then I was stuck with this deep, deep, deep fatigue. And somebody said, "Do you have chronic fatigue syndrome?" And this is back in the 90s. And I was like, "Get your label away from me. I don't want your label. I don't have chronic fatigue." Blah. It's called the yuppie disease at that time. But a few weeks later, I was like, yeah, maybe that kind of fits when I think about it. And then I started throwing everything I knew with all of my education to that point to figure out what was causing this fatigue. Yeah. I ended up taking a year out of medical school, and then I returned still with chronic fatigue. And it took me a couple of years to figure it out, but I came out 150% better and was able to have another kid and run clinics and teach and do all kinds of fun stuff.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's so interesting how many people that I do talk to and that do what do and what, like myself, we have this story about just
right.
Something tragic happens. And it sucks at the time, obviously. It's like really bad. Yeah. But then for you to take that and be able to learn from that and transform from that and then be in a different spot. And then you can realize that and you can help other people, pull people through that in maybe a quicker way or an easier way than maybe you or I had to do it.
Exactly. So. Yeah. And as a physician, it really allowed me to understand the power of healing, of what healing really can happen. And also to understand how scary it is when you're really that sick. When your body doesn't work, it's terrifying. I don't know how much fear you experienced with your accident, but I know that for me, to not be able to have the energy to walk to the bathroom by yourself is terrifying. And especially as a parent, to not feel like you can take care of your child because you don't know if your body's going to be able to. Right. And I think that it just allowed me to understand that so I could hold my patients in a different way. And the power of healing of the body, my goodness, it's amazing. when you tap into that natural, I believe our bodies have this natural ability to heal. And a lot of what we're trying to do with really good medicine, we're trying to, what they call, remove the obstacle to cure. What's the thing that's blocking this body from tapping into its own natural healing response? And then the next question is, what does this body need to even activate that healing response more? And there's so many things that we can do there. There's such a big toolbox that we can choose from.
Yes, I'm so excited to dig into this because I 100% wholeheartedly agree that, in my opinion, God made this incredible body, right? And it's so complex. and but it literally can heal itself, like you mentioned, instead of
Yeah, it's
doing
amazing.
what unfortunately we've been taught to do. When at least what I was taught to do. I guess I can't speak for everybody, but what I was taught to do was when I have a problem, I go to the doctor, right? And the guy in the white coat, he fixes me,
Mhm.
and the guy in the white
Mhm.
coat says, "Here's a pill for your ill,
Mhm.
and you're going to get better." And that's the just the society I grew up in. And
Right.
now I look at
Right.
what I do now, and I do the research on the seniors who are taking medications and the seniors who are taking just so many prescription medications, and it's just unbelievable how that has permeated our society. And
Mhm.
we want to go to somebody else to just give me something to fix it. It's like we're in that society. It's got to be fixed, immediately and quickly, rather than what you're talking about is let's get things, what's blocking your current body from being able to fix itself, and then let's give it what it needs, and then guess what, your body's going to heal itself if you give it the right thing. So this is exciting. Your path to getting there is awesome. So it's not awesome that you had to go through that, but it is awesome your triumph and what you're doing now to help other people. So congratulations for getting to where you are. And just I'd love to just unpack some of that more. What are some of the big things that you do from a healing perspective to try to get people to find those blockers? How do you help people do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. My journey continued with after I got out of the chronic fatigue and knew I would never get it again. I did end up getting it again. And yeah, and through pain, actually, I got an injury and I was in severe pain. And that pain just throws off your neurotransmitters and all kinds of
Yeah.
things and really damages the mitochondria. And so anyway, it put me into this place where I learned a second very important thing, which is once you've had chronic fatigue or long COVID, you are at risk to relapse very quickly because the body knows how to do it, knows that that pathway has been set.
Mm.
And so was looking at that gaping hole of going back to bed, and it was terrifying to think about going back. And I really had to understand what caused chronic fatigue on a whole new level. And the second time I was 17 years into being a physician. So I had a lot
Okay.
more experience and knowledge. And there was frankly more research that I could then tap into. And
Ah.
this is when I really became clear with there are 5 core root causes that really drive people into the chronic fatigue long COVID pattern. And
Okay.
you may have 1, 2, 3, or all 5 of them. And part of the things, like the number one thing I would do if you're struggling with fatigue or pain, is really consciously rule in and rule out, are these things part of my picture? Is this part of why my body just isn't, I'm just not able to get over that hump? I still feel inflamed. I still feel sick, even though it's been months or years of me dealing with this. I see people, once we address the proper root causes, I see that healing ability turns on and they're able to get their energy back and their vitality back. It's not overnight. And you talk
Okay.
about this quick fix thing. And this is
Yeah.
really, this is a challenge because you're right. This culture is addicted to quick fixes, right? And
Yeah.
all and everything,
And
right?
everything.
Quick
Yeah,
money, quick
exactly. Like
relationship,
you're
quick
you're you're
health.
watching phone and you're just going like
You
this,
know?
right?
I want it now. And it doesn't work that way with the body at times.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really intriguing. So you mentioned 5 things. Do we have time to go through and talk about those 5 things?
Absolutely, we do. Absolutely. Yeah. So the first one is what I call the gateway root cause, and it's the hormone triangle. And this
Okay.
is your adrenal glands, your ovary or your testes with male body, and your thyroid, adrenals, and gonads. And that hormone triangle loves to work together. They support each other. If one is having a harder time, the other one will try to support it. Say you're under a lot of stress. You're in college, you're in your 20s, and you're just pushing all the time. Or maybe you're in your 30s and you're having kids and you've got a job. You're pushing all the time. That adrenal gland gets stressed. That thyroid's going to go, oh, you know what? They're stressed. I think maybe we'll just slow down their metabolism a little bit. We're just going to bring the gears down a few notches so that they can't push themselves so hard. Cause I'm afraid they're going to burn themselves out here. They're going too fast, too hard. We're going to bring
Right.
it down a little bit. So this can happen. The other thing that can happen is fertility issues can come up because
Mm.
if you're that stressed, it's not time to have a baby because you don't got the extra energy for it. Might have been going on with me in medical school with a small child, not sure, but
Oh,
could have been.
yeah.
And so I call it the gateway root cause, because so many people are stressed in this culture, and so many
Yeah.
people, again, that go 24/7, got to have it now. And we push
Mhm.
ourselves too hard. And I believe that this is a gateway root cause for a lot of people to get into burnout, which then opens them into getting more susceptible to the other root causes.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
The second root cause is looking at chronic infections.
Mm.
And chronic infections, we all have, there's so many infections, things that out there that can impact our body. There are viruses out there we don't even have names for, let alone testing for. So
Right.
we have this thing called the virome. You've heard of a microbiome in your gut.
Mhm.
We also have a virome. We have viruses that are in us and around us and on us. And how much that virus inside of us is draining our energy depends on how healthy or unhealthy your body is. So the more run down you are, it's easier for those viruses that just live in us and hang out in us to become reactivated. Epstein-Barr virus is a classic example of this. A lot of us have Epstein-Barr virus in us, and it can get reactivated when we are under stress. So car accident, having a kid, divorce, those kinds of things can reactivate Epstein-Barr virus. A lot of people with long COVID have reactivated Epstein-Barr virus. And this is one of the things that I see many people missing when they're trying to address their fatigue, is not getting properly assessed if they have a reactivated chronic virus and having it looked at by a physician who knows how to read the results. Unfortunately, we have sucky lab tests for testing reactivated viruses. They're just not good. The best we have is for Epstein-Barr virus, which I think is partly why it gets diagnosed more than
Uh,
others. But cytomegalovirus can do this. There are parvoviruses. There are a lot of viruses that can reactivate. And this brings a lot of people down. And these viruses go into the mitochondria and suck our energy out of the mitochondria. And they can also go into different glands, like the Epstein-Barr virus loves the thyroid gland. Another root cause can be this mitochondrial dysfunction. Now, mitochondria are the powerhouses where you're inside of your cells, where you generate your energy. You want this to run clean as you can be. However, they're also really vulnerable, and they're vulnerable to these viruses. They're vulnerable to the stress. They're even vulnerable to the thoughts that you're thinking in your head. If you're having negative thoughts, it can be hard. If you're in severe pain, that inflammation can be hard on the mitochondria. There's so many things that are hard on the mitochondria that it's really important to look at that as a separate thing and say, how are my mitochondria working? One of the ways that we know your mitochondria are challenged are if you feel like you're aging prematurely, you're getting more gray hairs, more wrinkled skins, and your energy levels are huge. If you have the classic post-exertional malaise where you do a bit more today than you usually do, and you get really exhausted from that 1, 2, or 3 days later, that's post-exertional malaise, and it's a classic sign of mitochondrial dysfunction.
yeah. Wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, which is why so many people talk about the mitochondria now, and I'm glad it's getting discussed. I love the mitochondria. They're amazing things, and we can support them with things that we do every single day to help them work better in our bodies. The other is looking at toxins.
Okay.
And this is the fifth root cause, is looking at toxic exposures. Molds, mycotoxins, huge, especially where I live in the Pacific Northwest.
Ah.
Actually, I woke up this morning with a mold headache.
Oh
I
no.
think there's some growing in my car. I'm going to test it later today. And I woke up with such a severe headache. I was like, oh no, can I go on the podcast with Rod today? I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
But I'll share later what I did to get rid of my headache this
Wow.
morning.
And I would love to know how do you test for it too. So
Medication supplement free, I'll tell you at the end.
I
So
love
anyways,
it.
toxins. So molds, mycotoxins, a lot of people have these from previous exposures, and they're stuck in their sinuses and they're reinfecting themselves, or it can be from a current exposure.
Okay.
And there are lots of great ways that we now have to be able to test if that's in your body or not. And I have just recently discovered an amazing way to test it for people in their bodies.
Oh,
And then,
cool. That's going to be really neat because I literally just met a woman just related to toxins and fungus. It's
yeah,
like really impacted her life. So she's had
yeah.
such a difficult time. She's had to move from house to house. And
Oh,
she has a really difficult time
yeah.
finding an area and having it be fungus free. And I didn't realize it was such a big one, such a
Yeah.
pervasive issue, and
Yeah.
two, I didn't realize how much of an effect it can have on you as a person or certain people. I was like, wow, that's something we really need to
Yeah.
be cognizant of. So I'm
Yeah,
excited
it's
to talk
huge.
about that more.
It's really huge. So any of you listening and have chronic pain, chronic disease, you really do need to look at this mold mycotoxin piece because it messes with your immune system in such a powerful way. And it can really cause a cycle of chronic inflammation in the body
Mm.
and activate your histamine response and cause people to have mast cell activation. And it's just, it alters so much, and it can impact your mood, your energy, everything. So
Wow.
it is very important to look at. The thing is that not everybody is
Right.
sensitive as
Yeah.
some.
Right.
So
Like
those
I
of
could
us,
tell she was like so super hypersensitive
yeah,
that she had
yeah,
to have every room tested, and it's wow, she's
yeah,
really got it.
yeah,
Her body really reacts
yeah,
differently to it than even her husband. But
right.
yeah, I'm like
And
it's fascinated to learn more.
yeah. And I have found that there are ways to reduce that sensitivity. And that's the fifth root cause. I'll get to that in a second. But
Cool.
toxins, the other toxins you really need, it's like metals, heavy metals.
Yeah.
There used to be lead in our gasoline. Those of us born before the late 1970s in the United States, there was lead everywhere in the air that we were breathing, and it gets stored in our bones. As we age, or if you're in an acidic state, if you're in a lot of pain and you're in an acidic state, that means that your body is pulling calcium out of your bones to get the pH in your blood normalized, and you're losing some bone. And as that bone comes out, the metals get released. So if you had mercury fillings in your mouth, like I did, I had 20 of them. If you've been sucking down lead air, if you're around metals just in the air from how your power is generated in your county, then you can have a lot of metal exposure, and that can have a huge impact on that mitochondria and impact how your brain works as well. And then, of course, all the environmental stuff, glyphosates and all the junk we've been putting on our food. So
Yeah, that's
as
making me
clean as
so
you
mad.
can.
What's going on with our food? It's like, of course, I'm mad about a lot of
Yeah.
things, but it's just like,
Yeah, a lot of
come,
things.
come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I feel like it's one of those, when I talk about toxins, I feel like it's easy to trigger this fifth root cause that I'll get to in
Okay.
just a second.
Yeah, I
And
like.
first I want to say, it's easy to want to put your head in the sand around toxins and to get scared. You don't need to do that. And about the foods and stuff and get into this awful, scary talk. You don't need to do that. You can just understand where we are on the planet today and what choices can you make to help your body today, and what choices can you afford to make to help the planet today, and just do what you can. You don't have to solve the whole problem. Just do what you
Right,
can.
right.
And I say buy the cleanest foods you can afford today. Just buy the cleanest food and buy the most local you can today. And if it's not today, it's tomorrow. That's fine. But have that on your goal list of something that you're going to do the best you can today. The fifth root cause that I keep alluding to is the limbic emotional brain. And the limbic brain is in your subconscious mind. It's part of that safety and danger response. And I don't know how many people you've had on here talking about that vagus nerve, the beautiful long vagus nerve, the longest nerve in the body.
Yeah, very few. So this is good.
It's connected to the limbic brain, which is connected to our emotional brain. And that vagus nerve connects to your liver, to your spleen, to your gut. And it's sending information all the time up to your brain. How are we doing? How are things down there? If things are doing pretty good, then the message is, hey, it's pretty good. We're cool. We're cool. We're good. But if the message is, oh, you know what? I've got dysbiosis. I have this gut infection. Oh, you know what? I'm in all this pain over here. Oh, you know what? My liver is really clogged up from that pizza and beer I drank last night. It's not doing so good right now. It starts sending these signals up. And then if you're also in an emotional pain, so it starts feeling like, oh yeah, life is really hard right now. Okay, that's another signal going up. Once we start getting these signals where things are not okay anymore, the limbic brain starts to notice and pay attention. The limbic brain also has a series of filters it uses to assess whether you're safe or dangerous. And these come from your early childhood experiences, from generated patterns, and from other energies that we have around us where we're interpreting, is it okay or am I not okay? All of us have different sets of these filters. If you are like me and had early childhood trauma, then you're more wired to danger than somebody else. If you're like me and you had generational trauma, you are more wired to danger than somebody else. And that means that it doesn't take as many triggers from the body to trigger the limbic brain to say, I am not okay, and I'm going to start shutting this story down. So what happens is we have a safety response in the body where the body goes into, it's called torpor syndrome or safety or cell danger response. And the limbic brain is part of what sends this message down to the body, to the mitochondria, and tells the mitochondria, stop producing so much energy. We're slowing this thing down. And it amplifies your pain signals. It amplifies your fatigue signals. It amplifies your signals to isolate. And it basically says, it's dangerous out there. I want you to go back to your cave and hide under a rock. Wow. I want you to survive. And so get back in that cave and get under a rock. And I'm going to send you so many signals until you listen to me and you go hide. Bless the body and the brain for trying to protect you. But that's literally what is happening in a lot of these situations.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, isn't it? I know.
So how do you spell that? The brain? It's like Limbic. Okay, I missed the B on that. Okay, got it. Oh, limbic. That's really fascinating. I had never heard of that. This is exciting. Yeah. I'm excited to learn more. Yeah, cool. This is a blast.
Yeah. And so what I was saying is that if you get too caught up in the scary dangers of the world, oh no, I can't eat this food, it's toxic. Or, oh no, they're ruining everything. Right. I don't have any power. They have the power. I don't. That triggers the limbic brain. So we need to be really careful with how we're choosing to think about what we know. I agree it's very important to be clear-eyed about the world that we live in.
Yes.
And I also think it's really important to stay connected to our heart and to the love and to our energy body and to our emotional body, and to stay grounded in our physical body so that we can stay present in a way that we're living out the mission that you're living out, right? You came through a crisis and you're like, how can I help? Yep. How can I be present? How can I serve? Yep. And this is when you come from that space, then even though there is a lot of craziness happening in the world, we can stay useful.
Yeah, you know? No, you're right. They're right.
And that also allows the body to heal when you're in that state.
Yes. Another thing I love this conversation about, I call it faith over fear, right? Because we need to have faith that life is going to get better, because living in fear is what the evil person wants us to do, right? I'm a Christian, so I believe in God and I believe in the devil, right? And I believe that there's a real spiritual battle going on in the world. And I believe that we need to have faith that life is going to get better, and it will get better, and that God wins in the end. And so people, yes, it is very important that people understand what's going on in the world. I think it's super duper important, but you can't live in fear, because like you said, I didn't know the physical reason why people get to there, but now I do, right? So that's so cool, because but when you do get scared about this, you get scared about that, it can be so scary and so depressing. And your body, now I know why. Your body is telling it to give it all those signals. You need to go hide, right? Go into the cave. Don't do anything about it. And that's just wrong.
Yeah. And some of those signals in the beginning are okay. Like sometimes a little bit of depression can be a good sign just for you, that you do need to slow down and reassess. And of course it's normal to be sad and to grieve and all of those things. I'm not saying that. And of course your pain may be a signal that you need to do less with that thing right now and protect it.
Yeah.
I'm saying that when people get into a chronic state where their body is not healing within the time zone that feels like it should be appropriate for an injury, or if they are stuck in a chronic fatigue long COVID cycle, this is one of the root causes that's really important to look at. And if you are always waiting for that other shoe to drop, you feel like you are in a lot of stress and anxiety, you find yourself worrying about a lot of things, you may have this limbic dysfunction. And there's some very specific ways that we can work on healing that. Awesome. And when you do, it's like the world goes from black and white to color. It's just, whoa, I didn't realize there was so much I was missing that is beautiful and amazing in the world. It's pretty incredible.
So true. I love it. Where in the Pacific Northwest do you live?
Portland, Oregon.
Ah, very good. I spent almost 30 years in the area. And
did you?
Moved to Dallas a couple of years ago, maybe almost 3, but I spent 8 years in Bend.
Beautiful there. Bend is stunning.
Yeah, I know that area. So like you said, when you think of just the panacea and beauty and what God has created. It is so incredible, right? And you can
Yeah,
just get
yeah.
into our world where all we see is this little phone in front of us with all this bad news there every day, all day, and then you don't really get to open up and see the glorious creation that our world is. There's so much joy that can be had. We just need to open ourselves up to it and help ourselves heal, right? Let's get rid of that chronic pain. Let's get rid of the long COVID. Let's help our bodies heal, get in a spot where we can start enjoying life. And then I think the best gift you can give your loved one is your health.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I also have to say that I think that there are times when you may not be able to heal as quickly as you intentionally wanted to. And there is a real beauty and grace in being able to, it's an interesting thing. I want to say accept it, but not resign yourself to it. Again, these are very narrow definitions. And I know there's a few of you listening who know what I'm talking about. There's the resignation of, oh, this is all I get. I guess I'll just make do with this, versus, okay, this is a new challenge. I'm here. I'm not where I wanted to be. Like, I'm not the Olympic runner that I thought I might be able to become. However, what can I do with what I have been given at this time? And I personally have had to do this multiple times in my life, as in my health journey and my professional journey. And I always believe there's something that we can get out of every challenging situation we're in. There's always something to learn from it if we choose to take that on. If we choose to learn.
I love that. I have this poster behind me that says life is hard, and then it tells you all the things that are easy and hard, right? Everything is hard, but you got to choose your heart, right? It's just amazing. So you need to choose the goodness out of all of these things, because you either have two choices. You can look at it negatively and look and just go down a negative hole, or you can look at life positively and start moving forward and see the light.
Exactly.
And so I always want to look towards the light, right?
Exactly.
One of the things I wanted to unpack was the mold thing that you'd mentioned, that you'd have a good way to help people understand mold and or test mold. And I'd love to dig into that, give some people some practical tips.
Sure, absolutely. I'm just looking to see how much time we have.
Sounds good.
How many tips am I going to get you?
I just thought I loved your 5, what do you call them?
Root causes.
But 5 root causes was awesome. That whole discussion was very valuable to everybody. So thank you for that.
Yeah. You're welcome. And just with the root causes, they do really interweave, and you may have 1, 2, 3, or all 5 of them. Okay. And they cause pretty severe neuroinflammation, which is what we're seeing is underneath a lot of people with these chronic diseases is neuroinflammation. Yeah. And mold can be huge for that. It can really impact. If you are suspicious, the signs of neuroinflammation and that may make you want to test for molds, brain fog is a huge sign of brain inflammation, having a hard time word finding, feeling like you can't think at the level you used to. If you're a professional and you're used to your brain working for a certain amount of hours at a certain level, and you're just noticing you can't do that anymore, or you find yourself procrastinating or starting to pick up a screen when you should be working, that could be a sign that your brain is tired because it's inflamed. And one of those things may be this mold or mycotoxin issue, and it's worth ruling in or ruling out for you. It could be one of the other root causes as well. In terms of molds and mycotoxins, you can have them, like I said, from your current environment, from where you work, your car, your house, or it can be something where you have what are called biofilms, where you got exposed. Like I grew up we had a camping tent that I was in as a kid all the time, and it was moldy and stank, and I hated it. And then I had places I lived in college had black mold on the walls. Oh, no. I didn't think anything of it until I was older, and I had all these other things happen to me. And I'm sure that I have colonies of biofilms I know I have colonies in my sinuses that I've been working on clearing out. And you can self-infect with those. The best way testing for there's 2 things to test. There's to test your body, and there's to test your environment. Okay. You need to choose which one you want to test. If a lot of people in your household are sick with allergies, asthma, skin rashes, things like that, or just weird stuff that nobody can figure out, then that's a good time to think maybe we want to put our money and resources into testing our house first. And I would suggest that I have a couple YouTube videos on it, but
Okay.
really you're probably best off getting a professional service that's really good. There's some shoddy ones out there and there's some great ones. So do your research.
Okay.
Really good time to do research and be sure they're good and they know what they're doing. And then if there's just you, or you're pretty sure your house is clean, or you want to see if it's worth investing in testing your house and your car first, test your body. The testing that I used to use was called a urine mycotoxin test. And there are a couple different labs that I've used those for, but I would get frustrated because the levels would go up and down, and they would say, it depends on what your body burden is and how much you've released. And as a physician, I would get frustrated with not being able to have reliable enough results to tell my patients.
Right.
So just recently, I've been working with testing a whole new way, which is through My Myco Labs, and I don't have any affiliation with them, but it's actually a blood test. And what they're testing is, what is your immune response to the mycotoxins?
Mm-hmm.
And they're able to assess how strong is your immune response. And you can get clues as to whether your immune response is mostly from really inside your body, or if it's more from your current environment. And that can be a really nice clue. It also gives you an idea of how serious it is. So for myself, when I ran this test, I could see, oh, I'm actually doing much better in this than I used to, but I still have a little bit of work to do. And so now I'm working on that piece, the piece that's left over. Some of my patients come back all red and orange, and we know we have a lot of work to do. Once somebody comes back positive on that test, my next question is, okay, so is it from your sinuses or is it from your house? So let's go ahead now and test your house, or test your car, or test your office, and see if we can figure out where it is. And then once you figure out if it's and then once you find out it's in your space, you get to have the whole remediation conversation, which I'm happy to jump into if you want me to, but it's your choice,
Yeah,
Rob. It's up to you.
No, it was just interesting. That was where I led to a little earlier with the woman that I had met.
Yeah.
She literally has gone to extremes where she moved houses multiple times because of that. So it was like she spent unbelievable amounts of money trying to clear the house, and still didn't feel safe there and had to move.
Did you just hear what you said you heard yourself say? She didn't feel safe there.
Right.
She didn't feel safe there.
Her...
It's both. And I don't want to say that if you're having a mold sensitivity, it's all in your head, or if you're having pain, it's all in your head and you just need to get over it. It is a physiological response.
Right.
And we can choose to support our body's healing process by what we're doing consciously and unconsciously in our minds. And the more we become aware of how we're talking to ourselves, how we interpret things, makes a big difference. I lived in a moldy house. We found out we had a lot of black mold in our house, and we had to do a thorough remodel. We were figuring out how we're going to pay for it, getting the architect, all that kind of stuff together. I lived in the house for an additional 6 months. I got myself a sauna that I could sit in so I could detox every day. And I also was doing a bunch of mindset limbic retraining stuff. And I got so much better from all of my symptoms while I was in the mold. Now, of course, when I left, it got even better. And when I moved back and the house was clean, it was even better.
Nice.
But there's power in both. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's so awesome, because what you are saying is your mind is very powerful. And I really am a strong believer of that your mind can control so many things in your body, and you can either do it in a positive way or a negative way. Right.
Absolutely.
So that's back to that conversation. Choose your heart. You want to choose the heart that's going to make you better, or choose the heart that's going to make you worse.
Exactly. And so this morning I woke up with this headache, and I was awake quite early with a headache and literally going, oh no, I have to cancel. Right. And so instead of being cozy in bed, I did the heart. I got up, sat down on the couch, and I did a meditation for about an hour.
Awesome.
And I did an hour-long meditation. And by the end of that meditation, my pain was gone, just totally gone. That's amazing. I had literally been thinking before I got up, I was like, okay, I have a lot of tools in my toolkit. I was thinking, okay, I know which 3 essential oils I need to inhale. I know which herbs I need to go down my basement and see if they're in my medicinary down there to take. I know which nasal lavage I'm going to do. Like, I had this whole list of stuff that I was going to do so that I could be well enough to come on the show with you this morning.
Right.
But instead I used the power of my mind. and I was able to shift it. And what's really cool is the meditation that I did. This is really the best pharmacy we have up here.
Love
The
it.
meditation I did was actually consciously built to activate the different hemispheres of your brain to release different chemicals throughout your body to reduce inflammation. And it just happened to be the one that I chose. And I was like, oh, isn't that perfect? Like, I
That's
didn't even sit
beautiful.
down with the intention of releasing the headache. I just sat down with the intention to heal. And that's what happened.
That's
So,
beautiful. That's
yeah, it's
beautiful.
cool.
Yeah, I love it. So it's what a pleasure to meet you, Dr. Jenny. It's so much fun to just learn your past and your history, and then how you're helping people. Do you have a story of a patient that we only have a few minutes left that you'd like to share, or something that anything else that you would like to discuss as we're wrapping up?
Sure. I have so many patient stories I
I can
could share. I'm
imagine.
going to share one that just the one that popped into mind. She's in her 40s, and she's actually an acupuncturist,
Okay.
and came to me and she said, I am about ready to give up. I have been sick since I was a kid. I have pain. She also was hit by a truck,
Oh
had
no.
severe, yeah, she was hit by a truck. And she had severe pain, multiple surgeries, chronic fatigue, but she'd been sick since a kid as well. And
Wow.
I just don't get it. Like, I've done all this therapy. I'm an acupuncturist. I do all the good stuff. How come I'm not better? I don't know what to do. I don't
Right.
know. I don't know, Dr. Jenny. And we were able to just very systematically go through those 5 root causes and rule in and rule out which ones she had. She already had her health foundation set. She didn't need my help with that. What she needed help with were the root causes. And in 3 months, she was like, I have hit every single one of my goals with you in 3 months. And we ended up working together for an additional 3 months, because I've hit every single one of my goals, and I just want to keep going and going deeper.
That's
And
awesome.
she couldn't sleep. Now she sleeps. She used to have severe pain. She has way less pain. She used to not have energy to get through her day. Now she has energy to get through her day. Her digestion used to be a mess, and now her digestion is working. And that's actually a pretty short period of time, to be honest. Most people take 6 months to 2 years to really come out of a deep chronic fatigue cycle when you're addressing all the different pieces. I bring her story up because she was so hopeless. But what she did is she did what you and I are talking about, Rob. Even though she felt hopeless, she still was like, okay, if you tell me what to do, if there's a plan, if there are steps to take, I will walk there with you. And that's what
Nice.
she did. We walked there together, and she took ownership of her own process and allowed me to guide her through the steps. And she got the results because she was willing to put the work in to do the thing. It was
That's
amazing.
beautiful.
Amazing. Beautiful to see. Beautiful to see.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
story is awesome. So
Yeah.
thank God for you, Dr. Jenny, that you're able to lead people that way. And thank God for your past and the difficulties that you did go through that
Yeah.
taught you the things that you know now. So you're just a light to the world. So I thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you so much, Rob. It's been a real pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, it's just really fun. So how do people get a hold of you, Dr. Jenny? So if people want to get help from you, do you help people remotely in addition to people in Portland?
Yes, I do. Actually, yes, I do. I work telemedicine with people. I have one-on-one programs and also group programs, depending on where you live and what's going on with you. And sometimes people do a combination of coming into the group program plus a few one-on-ones with me, and that's an amazing process right there. I bring people on for intensives if we're doing one-on-ones for 6 months or a year, where we really work together. I only bring in a few people at a time because I want to be sure that I can be there for you. And I
Yeah.
will, but you're welcome to go ahead, and if you're interested in working with me, go to my website, drjennytufinkian.com. There's a quiz on there where I can help you, that can help you uncover what your root cause might be. You can take that quiz. It's a really great, fun quiz to take. And if you're interested in having a conversation to see if we're a good fit to work together, you can go ahead and book a call and apply to work with me. And we will have a chat. We'll talk together for 30 minutes. And I bring on people that I feel like I can honestly help. And I bring on people that I feel are ready to do the work at this time. And if we turn out we're not a good fit, then I go ahead and I let you know what I think might be really great next steps for you in your health, even if it's not working with me. So I'd love to meet you if you're interested. Happy to help you. I really believe that we are all have a purpose and a meaning to be here on the world. And if you're struggling with fatigue, if you're struggling with pain, if you're not able to fully be in your body the way that you can, if you're having unnecessary suffering, then that's blocking you from living that mission that you're meant to be here. And so if I can be part of the process to free you from that so that you have the vitality to do the thing that you're meant to be here to do, that makes me happy.
I love it. I love it. You're just like speaking my language. This is so much fun. So I'm excited. We'll make sure that we have the link to your website in the show notes. So everybody can get access to you and go through that quiz. I think that'll be fun for everybody to do. And then I pray that the people are excited and want to get help from the amazing Dr. Jenny. So we really appreciate you, and just thanks a ton for being on the I Am Pain Free podcast.
Thank you so much, Rob. Take care, everyone. Yeah. Thanks for listening.
You bet. Signing off from the I Am Pain Free podcast. If you enjoyed in this episode, you might be expecting a sales pitch for a pain relief solution. But here's a pleasant surprise. I'm offering a 3-episode pop-up podcast absolutely free. This exclusive 3-episode private podcast series is packed with more value than many paid programs out there. And getting access to this is a breeze. If you're listening on your phone, simply open up your text messaging app and send the word pain-free, it can be 1 or 2 words, to 41-PAIN-FREE. So that's 417-246-3733. Again, that's 417-246-3733. If you're not a fan of texting, no big deal, right? Just visit impainfree.com. Super easy, impainfree.com. You can access this private podcast series instantly for no cost. Right? This isn't just any podcast series. We call it Beyond Pain, the triple B blueprint for pain-free existence. It really is a treasure trove of secrets, expert interviews, and a resource vault, all aimed at guiding you to live pain-free naturally and faithfully, right? My passion. It's a rare and value-packed resource that we're thrilled to share with you. So don't wait. Just grab that cell phone, grab your text messaging app, type pain-free in there, and just send it to 417-246-3733. Or, like I mentioned, go to impainfree.com and unlock this exclusive content, all completely free. God bless.